Hey, it's Michael Edward, creator of How to Crush Your Mental Blocks in 4 Weeks, where we get rid of those pesky things that's stopping you from reaching your level of success. Today we're going to talk about Path to Succeed. If you're at a place in your life right now where you want to do things, you want to achieve certain goals, you have a dream that you want to fulfill, but you're just not making motion, you're not taking action, I think this is going to help you. I was at a point in my life where I was in a pretty bad place. I was, I'm blind and over half deaf, and I was working on a new disability on my hands using the computer the way I do. It just wore out my thumb joints. That's what the doctors told me, that you got 100-year-old hands on a whatever-year-old body. And, and that was, and at the same time, I was losing my family. My wife and I decided to get divorced. The boys decided to move with the mom, and they were going to be several hours away. And what ended up happening after all this took place was I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore, and it was a really frustrating time of my life. It was a really empty time of my life. I felt lost. My identity was gone. I was no longer a daily father. I was no longer a husband, and I was going to be losing my job at any point. And I felt as low as I could go. I mean, there's just no way around it. And I realized some things at that point. I realized that I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And it was a turning point in my life where I realized I had to change everything that I was to become what I could be. And to do this, I had to go back into my personal self and say, all right, I can't do the kind of work that I used to do, so that's gone. What is it that I want to do? Well, no matter what it is, I've always taken pride in helping people, right? And when I worked for the large organization, I didn't work for the large organization. I worked for the individual that was in front of me at that moment for the greater good of the larger organization. But to me, my client was the most important thing. And when I realized that, it helped me decide what it was that I wanted to be. Now this brings us to the first point. And the first point is know your story. If you know your story, and yes, I know most people will tell you to think of a time in your life when you were most successful and emulate it. That's true. However, when getting on your path to succeed, you need to look at the parts of your life that weren't so terrific. And if you have a crescendo moment, like my moment sitting in that chair when my life was over, and I thought, this is it, I'm done. I'm tired, I'm done, I've had it. Then what came out of that was all these voices started going through my head saying, you're amazing, or you're a great role model, or, you're so fun to be around, or whatever. Well, I didn't feel so amazing then, and I didn't feel so like a role model then, and I certainly didn't feel like a lot of fun. But I took from that is, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel like this ever again. This is the rock bottom. I'm not coming back. I'm digging my way out, and I'm never coming back. So you see, in knowing your story, you can identify with where you were, how you felt, and really dig in to the I don't want to ever be like that again. And in knowing that and reminding yourself every now and then when you're struggling to reach that level of success, that next action that you need to take, you think back for just a moment. Now, I'm not talking about dwelling on the bad things for the rest of your life, of course not. But I am saying take life's lesson and think back and say to yourself, I was like that. I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to feel like that. I'm not going to be dragged down like I was like that back then. All right? So you need to remember this time and grow from it, learn from it, plant the seeds and say, now it's my turn to grow. Number 2 is take ownership of who and what you are. Take ownership of who and what you are right now. Be responsible for yourself. Be responsible for what you've done. Be responsible for what you will do. All right? I think in today's society, we're so quick to point the finger at the other guy, or we're so quick to point the finger at society. And we're not responsible for our own actions, and that's wrong. We need to take more responsibility for the things that we do, the things that we say, the actions that we take, the actions that we don't take, right? We need to take that level of responsibility. And you need to focus on yourself more, you know, and take it to all levels. Be nicer to people when you're out there in the stores and so forth. Be nicer to the people that you come across on the street. Throw them a smile. You know, hold the door open for somebody. You know, do the nice things. And in all of this comes great, amazing things. When you take ownership of who and what you are right now, and you take stock, write it down. What am I right now? What do I want to become? Again, you'll start to take the steps that you need to take. At least you know what steps to take, right? And knowing what steps you need to take is half the battle. The other half of the battle, of course, is taking those steps, but you know, you got to start somewhere. And when you are willing to take a good hard look at yourself and see what you really are. Do I have anger in my heart? Do I have kindness in my heart? How am I going to proceed from here? Am I going to be a nice person? Am I going to emulate Jane over there, who's just a sweetheart of a person all the time? Or am I going to be like Jack over there, who's a grumbly son of a gun that I can barely even stand being around? You know? So you need to take stock of yourself. Number 3 in pathing your success is write out your long and short-term goals. Yes, I know you've heard this before, but have you done it? And have you done it recently? Recently. When you write out long and short-term goals, and I mean short-term goals, like what am I going to do in the next 2 to 3 days? What actions am I going to take in the next 3 days? What learning am I going to do in the next 3 days? Right? Ask yourself these questions, write them down, and ultimately, where is it going to lead me in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And teach your kids this. Some kids know what they want to be when they're 10 years old. And if you teach them to write down these goals, just like you should do, they'll get there. They'll get excited about it. They'll be reminded of it all the time. Now, when you have these goals, you look at them every week, at least every week, and you change as required, because you've done this, now you need to do that, right? And when you've done that, then the next step is, and so forth. So you want to write it out. And yes, I know you've heard this before, but man, if you're not doing it, how do you expect to get there? You know, it's just not that hard. See, most things in life are not that hard, because as humans, we like to complicate everything, and we like to overthink everything, right? Paralysis by analysis, right? We like to analyze, and come up with all the reasons why we can't do something, instead of taking the time to focus on how and why we can do things. And just that very sentence right there will help you dramatically if you implement it. So you need to write down those goals. You need to review them weekly. And and the reason you're reviewing them weekly, one is to remind yourself of them and to see whether or not you're on track, and to rewrite the short-term goals for the next week or the next day, whatever. But you need to take action on this stuff. Number 4 is a tough one. It's a hard one. It's a complicated one. It's called be consistent. What? That's not hard? Yeah? No, it's not hard. But what it is it takes constant thought. It takes constant action. To be consistent is doing the things that I just said here, like writing out your goals, rewriting them every week, right? Knowing the action steps that you need to take and actually taking them. You need to be consistent in all things, all times. And if you slack off today, believe me, that's not a day wasted. That's a lot of opportunity lost. Right? I've done this. I've been here. Right? I've wasted weeks. I've wasted months. I've wasted years of my life. I'm not doing that anymore. No way. I am so determined to do what it is that I want to do, to achieve the goals that I want to achieve, to help a vast number of people out there like you, that I'm not quitting. I'm going to remain consistent. I am going to do what I need to do. My learning never ends. I read books, new books all the time. I reread old books all the time. And when you start to take that kind of consistent steps every day, something to lead towards that goal, then you're going to get there, right? If you don't, obviously, you're not getting anywhere. So be consistent. Write down notes constantly. When you read a book, when you're watching this video right now, you should be with a pen and paper in your hand, writing down the things that I'm saying, because you're not going to remember it an hour from now or 3 days from now. You might remember, yeah, Michael Edward. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah, he had some really good stuff. Yeah, what do you have to say? Well, there was something about goals. There was, yeah. So you need to write these things down, have a notebook, refer to that notebook. When you read a book and you finish the chapter, or even when you have a great line in the book, you write it out. And you say, this is so meaningful to me because of. You make notes, right? So simple. But people that don't succeed will never take these steps. If you want to succeed, you need to take these steps. So be consistent, be a great student of life, and learn all that you can. All right? I've actually combined 4 and 5 here. I wasn't planning on a 5th point, but you got it. So there you go. So be a great student of life, because I'm telling you, all the great leaders are great readers. All the successful people have done everything here in this video. I want to thank you for being with me. I hope this information serves you. I hope you take action on it. And I invite you to please subscribe, to please join me over on Facebook, and check out my blogs. And if you haven't gotten to my website yet and joined up my email list, you definitely want to do that, because I'm sending out great content all the time to help you reach your level of success. All right? And that's at MichaelEdward.com. Right? Michael Edward, right? Pretty simple. At MichaelEdwardPersonalDevelopment.com. And there's a link there where you can join the email list and so forth. And that site will be updated pretty regularly. So go back and check it out every now and then. But if you're on my email list, you're probably going to get the updates anyway. All right? I want you to go out there, enjoy every day, love all the way, and succeed.